Hi everyone, this is Jordyn Atwater. I am here on KDNE to talk a little bit about agriculture, politics, and this whole PETA debacle that's been going on Facebook. But a little background, because you may be wondering why in the heck is Jordyn on the radio. Basically, I grew up on a rural farm south of Hastings, Nebraska, and it was a first-generation farm. So my dad moved from California, to Nebraska and started up his own farm and worked hard. And my mom supported him, and my brother is now working back on the farm, and all of us are ag advocates in a way. So it's something I'm definitely really passionate about. But growing up, I loved cattle. I loved agriculture. It surrounded me, and I was a part of FFA, which really kind of sparked the debate and the reason why I'm on here today. So might as well just kind of get into the heart of it right now. I don't know if you guys have heard what's going on, but if you check on Facebook, you may have been seeing that PETA, one of their bloggers, wrote a blog about how FFA is lame. And they used some choice words, which I'm not going to repeat on the air because we have a little more class than they do. And I just think that that article and all of its intents and purposes is completely false and slanderous. And I chose not to share it in any form or sort of way because I don't believe that we should give it any more traction than it has, but I would like to talk about it a little bit. So this blogger chose to talk about FFA and basically take all of our core components that we learned when we were in FFA when we were younger. We had to do things called to recite the creed as a freshman and learn about the core components of what it makes to be an FFA member. And for those of you that maybe don't know what FFA is, originally, the organization was Future Farmers of America. They've changed the name now to just be the National FFA Organization. But basically, it's an organization that promotes agricultural well-being and a lifestyle that is both promising, positive, and active, and very progressive in a way. So it's not just about plants and animals. FFA is more than that. It's about professionalism, about getting out there and speaking the truth and speaking about things that you're passionate about, which a lot of it does have a component in agriculture. But with that, so when you first learn about agriculture, you learn everything that it's about. So when I started in FFA, my brother was an FFA officer. He's 4 years older than me, so I grew up admiring the people that wore the blue and gold jackets. Some people don't like corduroy, but I loved it because it's a blue corduroy jacket. But I always wanted to be an FFA officer, so I started getting involved in junior high, and the first thing I did was memorize the FFA creed, which really kind of changes your mind about agriculture. It definitely has some hard words in the creed that was difficult to memorize, but a lot of that was about how we need to raise ourselves to a higher standard and how we need to promote agriculture in a positive way. So back to PETA and how they kind of took the creed and all of our core components. They basically stated each part one by one, and then after that put about as much false facts as they could to debate what we were talking about and what we're really, really passionate about. So a lot of things were brought up that really offended me. I couldn't even read through the whole article without feeling like I needed to throw my phone. I was super offended. My brother was involved in the FFA program at a state level. I was involved all through high school. I still would love to stay involved. I still keep track of it and everything. But reading this, I was just so offended by what they were saying and how they were going about doing this. And I literally had to stop, put my phone down. I was kind of ranting and raving about it, not gonna lie. And my roommates came out and they're like, "What's going on?" I was like, "You won't even believe it. Like, I can't even believe these people are saying these things." And so then I decided I needed to read the rest of the article because maybe it was a hoax. I don't know if it was PETA trying to play a joke on someone. So I couldn't reread the beginning part. It was too bad. And so I scrolled down to where I left off and read the rest of it. Infuriated me again. And then I decided, wow, this is crazy. I couldn't even believe, but it was kind of funny at the very end. It promoted a vegan lifestyle, which is an interesting take on the matter, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But I was so offended. I was so mad. I thought it was ridiculous. And so I decided to write on Facebook, but more in a way, I didn't want to share it with anyone. I didn't want anyone else to read it. I thought it was offensive. I didn't want anyone back in my hometown, any of the younger individuals that I'm friends with on Facebook to read that and be as offended as I was. I mean, just the language that was used and the attitude that it promotes is not positive at all. And I just thought it was horrible.
What did it say exactly that was like so horrible for you?
For me, there was one part specifically where I'm a meat eater. I grew up on a farm. We raised cattle. So my lifestyle, I respect vegans and vegetarians. I don't necessarily understand the lifestyle as much, but I respect it. But I don't think they should bash me because I like a good steak once in a while. But one of the things we do in FFA is something called meats judging. And it's where you identify different cuts of meat, the quality of meat, which is important as well for producers, just because we believe in producing a good quality product for our consumers. And they basically said that it was a murderous lifestyle and how we were basically crazy for doing this and how only crazy people would look at meat and judge it for its quality, and then basically saying how we tortured our animals. They brought up one thing was also really offensive to me is we have something called AIing for breeding cattle. And it's artificial insemination, and it's just the use, you don't have a bull. So it's not a natural breeding process. But the reason why you do that is maybe if you have a heifer that's a little bit smaller, things like that, and you need to let them grow a little bit, you can choose a time that's best for your animal for when they are ready to breed. And then you can select the correct semen, I guess you could say. I don't know if I can say that on the air, but I'm going to. You can choose the one that you think is going to give the best chance for that calf, that future product. If you want the genetics to be correct, you can find a good bull, and maybe you don't have access to that physically, but you can have access to for insemination. So that's what we do, but they called it a rape rack. I've never heard that terminology. I think that is like crazy. I mean, I was like, I don't know what those are. And maybe there is something like that out there, but we don't use it on my farm. And another thing, it's like, I think they're just assuming that everyone's going around just like impregnating cattle when they're not ready, and it's just this horrible thing. But you have to be certified to do this. Like, you have to take classes. You know, it's something that my brother, we have a herd of cattle he's looking into, but he has to be certified. He has to learn from a vet, learn the proper techniques. So it is safe for the cow and for the individuals that's doing the AI process. And these individuals make it sound like this dirty, horrible thing that is just damaging this calf, and how it's ruining this heifer's life, and how the farmers are just grotesque. And I was like, you have it so wrong. Like, have you ever talked to a farmer? Have you ever talked to a cattle producer? I don't think they have, to be completely honest. But that was super offensive to me, because I was just like, you're taking something that we have worked over the years to perfect so that the safety, the quality, and everything that's going on is up to standard. And you're basically demeaning that and using words that I find offensive as an agriculturalist and as someone that grew up in that lifestyle. And so I just disagree. And I thought it was awful. I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, when I read that article and heard all those sayings, I decided to speak my mind on Facebook. I usually hold back. I'm not going to lie. I usually try to be politically correct in a way and just kind of refrain from saying things. But there are some things I cannot stand by and just let go. I think that if you're passionate about something, then you need to speak up. So I did. And I wrote a Facebook post, but I didn't slam PETA necessarily on it. It might have been a little aggressive. I guess I should correct that. But just in the sense that I thought that the integrity of the writer and his article were poor. I will save a few choice words for himself in my own brain that I believe. But I just wrote that I wish people would not share that negative article and share the positive articles about FFA and agriculture, and that we can share a new standard and not let this get traction, because PETA, for all intents and purposes, they like to make these outrageous claims, make these really strong stories, or they'll have a member maybe do that, and maybe it's not with PETA's knowledge or intent, but they don't then reprimand the individual that does that. So these individuals that write these things just get a little slap on the wrist. PETA will come out and say, well, we didn't condone them doing that. We didn't tell them to do that. They did this on their own. They're one of our followers. But they kind of have truth to what they're saying. So it's like this backhanded apology to us. That doesn't work. That's not how this world works. So I just thought that was kind of ridiculous.
We are back here on Ag Attack with Jordyn Atwater on KDNE 9D19. If you're listening or if you're just starting to catch up, we are talking about the whole PETA attacking FFA, the Future Farmers of America. And Jordyn Atwater is, she grew up on a farm and she was a big part, an activist in FFA. And so she's here to kind of speak her mind and talk about that. Right now we're going to go through some of the claims that PETA made in their blog, and she's going to tell you why they are wrong.
Hi, everyone. So getting back to the topic on hand is right now, their title of their article is Why FFA is Lame, which, since I'm a believer in FFA, I just think that's wrong. But, I mean, everyone has a right to their own opinion, in a way. But I'm going to go through some of the things that I saw in this article and that get me kind of fired up. And one of the things that this writer says is, which I think is surprising, they actually joined FFA when they were in high school, and they found that FFA was hypocritical for some of the following reasons. And one of them that doesn't make sense and they need to do a fact check on is they take one of our quotes, which is make a positive difference in the life of others, which is something that I can't speak on behalf of the FFA as a disclaimer. I'm just going to speak on my own personal beliefs on what I believe those statements mean. But so making a positive difference in the lives of others, we always learned that that was to lend a helping hand to your fellow classmates, farmers, town members, whatever it would be. And this individual, this is where they talk about the meat judging thing that I talked about earlier. And quote unquote, no joke, FFA holds contests in which members try to identify what body part a piece of flesh came from. Parentheses, like some sick murder mystery game. But in slaughterhouses, cows are often hoisted upside down by their hind legs and dismembered while they're still conscious. I'm going to stop right there. That's so false. Cattle, it is not legal in the United States for any type of slaughterhouse to physically start the process of dressing down an animal while they are still alive. They have very strict procedures on how these animals are put down when it comes to their term of life and the time for them to become a product for consumption. And this individual just blatantly says that we're basically holding up a live animal and torturing it, which is so false. I mean, it's crazy. And then they try to put a fact in here, which to a point is true, but then they misconstrue it by saying the kill rate in a typical slaughterhouse is 400 animals per hour, which depending on the slaughterhouse, I mean, I don't think you could probably get 400 cattle through like a local slaughterhouse, but this individual may be looking up things online. I guess maybe if they're doing a Google search, they're trying to find something. I don't know if that's the best way to find what they're looking for, but that's what they say. And then there was a quote apparently from one of the slaughterhouse workers that the line is never stop simply because an animal is alive. Well, it actually has to be that way. There's an ethical code that we stand by. And if that's the case, if that's the worker, then if we're going, I think, FFA would be the first to stand up and go to this place and be like, this is not okay. We have organizations and policing enforcements in place that will go and shut down this industry and shut down this specific slaughterhouse. I mean, we never want to be known as torturing animals. Like, that's not what we're here about. We're here to protect our animals and to support them as much as we can. And, farmers themselves, I grew up on a farm. My dad would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, same with my brother and myself sometimes, in the middle of a snowstorm to go out and check on cattle. We would sometimes bring newborn calves into the house because it was too cold and they would freeze as soon as they hit the ground. Now, I don't know about this individual, but I would say that that's caring for an animal. I don't think the calves minded being in a nice warm blanket in the house.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So that fact itself, like, fact check yourself there, pal. Like, this is crazy. Especially if you were in FFA, maybe you didn't pay attention in class, but they would have explicitly told you the standards and the codes that we live by. Also, if you would look at this website, the videos and the pictures that they use,
they're horrible. They're awful.
They're bad. I mean, they're just like, a lot of them, I'm even like, wow, where did you get this? Some of these are just grotesque, and some of them are taken out of context, But a lot of the ones that people would look at initially and be like, oh yeah, like this person's totally right, those are old. Like, there have been mistakes made in the past in the ag industry, just like we've had mistakes made in the past in government and the, textile industry. Regardless, there's mistakes that have been made, but we have taken those steps to get past those points. So these videos that they have on here, I mean, if you can look at them, the equipment is old, first off. Like, we're in a tech-savvy age. Technology doesn't look like that anymore. But also, I mean, they put up pictures of a rabbit that, yes, it has been hunted, and we do live in a state where recreational hunting is a thing, but it's not a horrible thing. But, like, they take it out of context and it being like, look what they're doing, this poor little bunny rabbit. And it's like, I'm sure this individual maybe probably hit a bird or a bunny on their way to work one day. Like, so sue you too. I mean, I don't know what you want here, pal, but so basically all these videos that you're going to see, they're taken grossly out of context. I mean, also, they say that for the dairy industry that we take the calves away from the mother too soon.
Yeah,
so
like, there's a picture of them like dragging this cow, and it's like, it's really awful.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so grossly out of context. It's just, I mean, I think they're trying to make that shock factor point that doesn't make sense. But then they say that since we're taking the calf away from the mother, which they're bawling hysterically, which, I mean, I will admit, when you wean calves off the mother, there is a transition period where they're both going to be kind of doing their little bellowing thing, but it's not like they're suffering. They're still getting nutrients. We're still feeding them. We give them plenty of hay. They get water. They get corn. I mean,
and they still get to see each other.
They still get to see each other, but it's just the fact that at some point, I mean, it's just like a child with their mother. You have a weaning process, and, they're domesticated animals. That's how the process goes. But they said that the mother should have the right to keep their calf, and that the milk that's there is not for human consumption, and that this calf has a right to all that milk. Well, first off, with dairy cattle, the purpose of a dairy cow is to produce milk. Now, a calf cannot necessarily drink all the milk out of its mother. And there's such a thing where something can happen to the cow that if they aren't milked, they can have some serious health issues. First off, I mean, they can get infections. They can have different types of hardening of the bag that can cause a lot of pain. And so they're in pain when they're not getting milk. So, I mean, not only are we getting milk that, first off, helps us grow. I am a biochemistry major. Calcium is important to humans. But it's something that we're helping the animal as well. And again, as I guess in transparency, this person at the very end of this promoted a vegan lifestyle. So everything throughout this is promoting not eating animals, not eating eggs or milk, not having any type of animal byproduct in a meal. So just kind of as a outlier, that's what they're talking about, but they don't even understand what they're saying. I mean, when I write articles about things or I'm going through, I try to go and look at what the opposite side is saying. So I'll go look for the positive articles about vegetarians and being a vegan and see why they're doing it. But I don't just start making all these false claims and
they just don't, they don't start calling you a murderer because
exactly, I'm not sitting there
eating grass.
You're eating grass, oh my gosh, you're killing a little blade of grass, that's terrible. No, I just don't understand where this person is coming from, and I think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And
I mean, I've witnessed how much you care for your animals because I'm from a city, so this is all foreign to me, but I've gone to your farm and you've gotten up at 3, 2 in the morning purposely to go help your cow's calf.
Yeah.
And, you clearly care about them. It's not because the calf might not survive or because you might lose that cow. It's because you want to help the mom. You want to help it not be painful.
And that's what, I mean, when you learn, there's a difference between animal rights and animal welfare.
Yeah.
And this individual is clearly for animal rights. But when we're talking about animal rights, you're saying basically that animal has the same rights as humans. Okay, I'm going to talk a little about the food chain. These animals cannot vote. I mean, I don't know where you're going with it, but, if we were to just turn all of our cattle loose, they're domesticated animals. They can't survive without us. I mean,
Exactly.
for example, tragedy struck the kind of northern hemisphere of the country when we had the storm Atlas come through, that horrible winter blizzard, and a lot of cattle died. But that, I mean, for those farmers, I felt so bad for them, and they were the first ones to feel the suffering. They were in pain. They were sad. I mean, they loved those animals just as much as, you know, a parent loves their child. They put effort and time and energy into those animals, but they did all that they could to save those animals. I mean, they would bring them into the barn, but you're in a ranch country. You can't, in the middle of a blizzard, you can't maybe make it all the way out to the end of the fence line to bring in cattle. So if I was just to turn out all my cattle and we had this storm that just happened, they can't break ice for themselves to get to water. They don't know where the water source is. I mean, these people don't understand that while some intentions they have may be positive, these animals aren't going to survive on their own.
Wait, I mean, think about it. Where is the last, wild cow?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
wouldn't
are
even
there
know.
even wild cows anymore? And, yeah, maybe that's a testament to humanity, like, look how horrible we are. But at the same time, are we going to be so horrible to, like, let them run free and die, too?
Yeah, well, and the thing is even though we care for these animals, they're not tame. It's not like I can go up to any of my cattle out in the lot, I mean, except for the ones I've shown through FFA and 4-H, and they're just going to be, they're still, you know, they have that instinct nature to not trust humans and dogs and things like that.
They still
but
run away from you. I always get the Snapchats.
Yeah, they don't, like, they're not necessarily, like, super friendly, but even that, they respect us in the sense that they know that we feed them every day. We always have a clean water source for them. They're not going to have that out here. I mean, we already know we have problems with our water sources. I mean, we can already, like, they're not going to survive on their own. So these individuals are, like, free range, which they need to look up the definition of free range for the first place. But just letting these animals go and giving them animal rights, no, let's start talking, change the discussion to animal welfare. And that's what FFA is all about. That's what our ag industry is all about, animal welfare, in the sense that we're looking out for the sake of the animal and for their health and for their well-being. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the road, most of these animals are going to go for consumption, but they do have a short timeline to begin with. Most of these animals, 12 years is maxed out of their life. I know for cattle, like, the purpose of life, they won't calve anymore. You know, if at that point, necessarily their meat might not be the best, so they're a cutter canner. So that's the meats that's going to go into your soups, things like that. They're not going to be your steaks and hamburgers that you buy at the store. But they have a purpose to life. I mean, these cattle that you would just set them free, they don't really have a purpose to life, and they can't take care of themselves. So that's a little bit where the dichotomy of this vegan lifestyle and just with this article, I believe, is coming from, I think is wrong. It doesn't correlate. I mean, I can respect you if you want to go animal free and with byproducts. I think that's extremely difficult. Kudos to you for spending the money and time to do that.
Yeah, and make sure you actually research, though, that you know what you're doing.
Exactly. I mean, that's a pretty drastic life change, and if that's what you want to do, I can respect that. I'm not going to tell you that you need to eat meat. And if you want to be a vegetarian, I have some friends and professors and some people that I really look up to that they're vegetarians simply for the fact they don't believe that they can kill an animal and eat it. They don't want to take a life to sustain themselves, which I can respect that. For me, I think of it as a blessing that, for that animal, we've cared for it. I've loved all my steers that I've taken through FFA and 4-H. I've cried when I had to let them go. I mean, it was tough, but at the same time, I knew the purpose. I knew the kind of the cycle of life and how that was sustaining. And my product, I then took pride in the product that I was making because that was going to go feed another family. And I would never want to torture or hurt something that was potentially going to go feed a family that may be falling on hard times. And the first meal that they can buy maybe would be hamburgers, like hamburger meat, and have just some hamburger patties. Yeah. No, I care about what that product is going to be. And in turn with that, I care about how my animal's welfare is. So the fact that this whole blog just totally is the opposite end of that, like, goes against my very grain. And I find it extremely offensive.
It's been pretty fun so far hearing her get all riled up, but we're going to try to rile her up even more. I would just like to point out what I think is the most ironic part of this article is they're going against FFA, which stands for Future Farmers of America. but one of their points attacks Australia. Like, it, like, talks about the sheep farms in Australia. Like, what? How does FFA even correlate with Australia? But, yeah, let's hear your side of that.
So, yeah, no, they basically went on the attack that since Australia is the number one wool-producing country in the world, which I might need to do some fact checks on that because I'm not really sure what the current statistics, what they are, but basically they said that with us taking the wool from sheep and lamb, that 6 million sheep die each year so we can have our cotton clothes and or not our cotton clothes because that would be wrong, but wool clothes and things like that. But what they don't realize is you can shear sheep without killing them to get wool that still make your wool socks. Like, I don't think this individual even knows where their clothing comes from or how it's made. And so they try to attack, how we in FFA say dress neatly and appropriately for the occasion, but then they attack the Australian wool industry, which it's not an American industry, which, hey, good for the Australians for really pushing that wool industry. Proud of you. But the correlation isn't even there. Like, this guy is off his rocker. Well, and I don't even know if it's a guy. It could be a girl. Actually, it is a girl.
It kind of reminds me when, the Westboro Baptist Church comes out and,
oh my gosh, yeah,
their side of the story and present it as facts, and it's like,
no, it's not even close. Well, and that's what just annoys the crap out of me, is that this ignorance, and that it's like, you just think you can go, and I get freedom of speech, but you think you can go and say everything and how it's correct and how you get followers and things like that. But we know notoriously from our history that people can go say a lot of things that are wrong and a lot of people still believe them. And that's what's sad. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, look in history. There's probably one specific person that's done that in their lifetime, but I'm not even going to make that correlation. But I mean, it's just kind of like, really? You can't just spout this slanderous stuff on a youth organization too. I mean, first off, like, who is this individual attacking someone who gives scholarships to a lot of individuals that don't have access to college education, can't afford different lifestyles and things like that, and they give back. I got so much from the FFA organization, and this person is like, I don't know if she, like, didn't get the office that she wanted, like, maybe she got kicked out.
Yeah, because in the article she says she was a member of FFA.
Yeah, and then she calls it hypocritical, so I'm like, yeah. Okay, it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, she just goes into all these different things, and then she even goes into how we appreciate and promote diversity in our organization, which we do. I mean, FFA is a national organization. We accept any and all members. We will help with dues and any things and the fees and the funds. I mean, that's what the FFA organization is going to do for you. And this individual then correlates it back to us consuming animal flesh, milk, and eggs. And I don't know about you, but I didn't realize diversity was animal flesh, milk, and eggs.
Yeah, that point's a little...
I mean, look up in the dictionary.
It's back to the animal rights, right?
Exactly, animal rights and animal welfare. And this is just where it gets into your lifestyle and enforcing your opinion on others. It's not right. I mean, we have enough problems with that already. Like, yeah, this was ridiculous. It's
not just, like, enforcing your opinion on others.
Well, and I would ask then the PETA organization as a whole, since this is just a blogger, I don't know how she's connected to the PETA organization or not, but hold yourself accountable.
They don't even let you comment on this.
No, right? You can't even comment. Like, to be completely honest, if I could have commented on this, I would have raked it over the coals. There were so many false facts in here, slanderous comments. I mean, the comment about how meat judging was a murderous game, like, who says that? Like, basically, are you calling me a psychopath? Because I'm pretty well adjusted as an individual, so, girl, you don't know me. I'm sorry. But it's just, it's so ignorant. And it just, like, that's where it's like, I don't know what you want from this. And then it's to the PETA organization. Why are you not holding your individuals accountable? FFA, the national organization, as I know of right now, they themselves have not responded to this. They're holding themselves to a higher standard. I know a lot of people like myself and other members and believers in FFA have spoken out against this. And so, but if we were to say something bad about, someone else's organization and saying it from the FFA standpoint, we would be checked by our advisors. I know, even my brother would probably tell me, Jordyn, that's not the correct thing to do. But there's no policing force on this. Who can post this stuff? I mean, this is ridiculous. And I guess that's where our freedom of speech, that's another political debate for another time, but...
Well, that's why you're on the radio, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Speech with speech.
Speech with speech, yeah, no. Well, it's just, oh my gosh, I can't even understand how this individual, how the PETA organization itself, and I know it's called PETA too, so it's not from the national PETA organization itself, but it's kind of an offshoot of it, how they still support this. And why don't you have a conversation with us? Come down to my farm. I welcome you to come down here, talk to me, answer questions. If you can't ask me a question, I can't answer it and I can't defend my way of life. I'm open to the questions. I'm giving you access to ask those questions to me. I have nothing to hide from you because clearly we're doing it the right way. We're upholding the standards we've learned through FFA, quality assurance, being a good person. And I don't know why you wouldn't even bother to ask.
Well, and haven't you ran into PETA before at the state fair? And they're
yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that experience.
So I remember one time when I was younger, I showed cattle, and to be completely honest, show cattle are spoiled. You can ask any person that's a show kid. Those kids are very well taken care of. They get baths every day. I mean, I'm going to ask this person, do you wash your dog? I'm assuming they have a dog or an animal because they are obviously an animal lover. Do you wash your animal every day? Because I wash my cattle every single day. Maybe they didn't always get a soap bath, but they always got rinsed down. They were under air conditioning. They didn't have to be out in the hot sun. I mean, they had fans on them. They got fed twice a day. They got watered all the time. I would love them. They were my friends. I would talk to them. I mean, probably was a crazy cow person at the time, tell them all my deep secrets and stuff. But so when we're at the fair, that's the chance for you to show your product. And so when you're getting ready for the show, you do fit them up. You want to show their best features. And I had someone come up to me and they're like, so you're putting makeup on a cow right now and you're blow drying your animal? That probably hurts them. They don't like that. That's not natural. And I said, do you see them bellowing? They're standing there and, they're getting we're showing them to their best advantage and we're showing pride in them. And they're being treated better than a lot of other animals in this country, that probably including your own. So it was crazy. And so they were so quick to attack all these little things. But, we were very opening and welcome to having them there and to talk through the issue. We had no problem being very transparent. It wasn't we were trying to do anything secret behind doors. No, we were very open about it. And we were, come look, why don't you come pet a cow? Have you ever pet a cow? Why don't you come up and pet a cow? Can't guarantee they won't kick you. But that's just because they probably don't like you because you're speaking out against their lifestyle as well. But, I mean, these people and I felt at the end of the day when they had left and we didn't really have any more interaction with them, I hope they could kind of take a piece of what they learned. And all their arguments were shut down that day. They had no argument to stand on. I mean, if they were on a ship, it was sinking at that point. There were so many holes in their argument. Nothing was going to stand up.
Just like this article.
Yeah, just like this article. It's so false. But again, people make these outrageous things so they can get the attention towards the organization so they can push the issue. And then when they push the issue, they get that attention from legislature and things like that. And they start pushing for bills that go against animal welfare, what we believe in, not animal rights. And that's where the issue starts. And that's where we start having some major problems. I have a problem with this article, but I have a problem with you using false lies to push your agenda and affecting my lifestyle and how I can raise my animals.
And how other people can too. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's the nation as a whole. Mm-hmm. So it's just, respect your lifestyle, but don't enforce it on others. You can push your issues. And if you really think something's wrong, I guess you can speak up against it. Don't be false like this, though. Don't lie. Come on. we're adults here. Have a conversation. I wanted to ask this person, okay, so I'm guessing you were in FFA for 1 second because clearly you don't know anything about it. I know you had to probably look up all the quotes that were on here from the website or wherever you got them from. But I wanted to ask, like, did you even interview an FFA member? Did you ever try to get the other side of the story? No. Not a single chance at it. I mean, and I know, you know from journalism, you try to get both sides of the story. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a journalist. She's a blogger.
I'm a blogger.
No,
yeah.
not you, the person who
she's a
wrote
blogger,
it.
yeah. But even that, I mean, when you're putting stuff out there, like, you're trying to put everything out there that's truthful.
Even if you, like, want to back up your point, like, you want to make your point sound more strong, you're going to try to, like, bring
well, if you just want to sound intelligent. I mean, if you don't want to sound, I'm not going to lie, like, just not intelligent.
Dumb. You can say dumb.
Don't sound dumb, girl. Like, if you don't want to sound like that, then fact check things. Like, I'm happy to talk with you about this issue, and maybe the conversation's not going to go just the best. I mean, more than likely not, but talk it out. Like, don't just start spouting stuff out the left side of your mouth and then smile on the right. Like, come on. This is not okay. Okay, guys, so we're back, and now we're going to talk a little bit about how this article, so I talked a little bit earlier about how it offended me and the aspects of what I believe in towards FFA, but it also attacked people in ag industry individuals on a personal level as well. This individual basically said that I'm not compassionate in any sense because I kill animals for food. And I mean, I like to think I'm a compassionate person. I mean, I know sometimes I can be a little tough and stuff, but I mean, just going for those personal attacks, too. It wasn't just attacking.
Why does she say you're compassionate, though?
So, basically, exactly what she said in here was, after taking a step back and thinking about the suffering of billions of animals killed for food every year, no compassionate person would ever want to participate.
So that's, like, not just ag people. That's, like...
meat eaters.
Meat eaters. Like,
well, even...
me.
Well, even vegetarians that would even maybe eat eggs.
Yeah,
like,
or drink milk.
Or do anything for that. I mean, not necessarily, like, killed for food, but it's just that fact that it's... You've now taken it beyond FFA. Like, your title is FFA is lame, but now you're taking it to anyone who's a meat eater and a vegetarian is not compassionate, stupid, murderous psychopath, basically. Which... If that was the case, our country would be in a lot of trouble because that's a lot of individuals that live that kind of lifestyle of wanting to eat meat.
Not just like our country, I mean...
The world in general. Well, it's, you know, I had an experience. I studied abroad in Germany this past summer, and I got to interact with a lot of individuals that had never interacted with the ag industry. And one of the most interesting things is even though we had a lot of differences and I got a lot of cow moo jokes, I got a lot of ribbing that way. It was totally okay. I took it. But they were still very open to the conversation. And even though one of them was a vegetarian, they never attacked me on a personal level of being like, you're an animal killer, you're not compassionate. They never said that. I mean, because they asked the questions. But this individual just went for it. And I was like...
Well, it's because she's behind a nice computer screen.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, one of the better things, she did put her name with it. So that's an interesting perspective. But the fact that she wouldn't even allow kind of like comments to be made and things like that. And you get to the end of the article and it's like, sign up for going vegan today. Go vegan. Which it's just like, she asked at the very end, are you an FFA or 4-H member with a beef that has a beef with the organization? Well, I think if you have a beef with the organization, you're not a part of it, first off. But then she's like, quit, go vegan. Like, that's a large jump. I'm sorry.
That's a very large jump.
You could have a lot of problems with different organizations. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But to go from like, you got a beef with the organization, go vegan, like, first off, that's a drastic lifestyle change. But like, it just goes to the show like how biased this article is. And it's just, it's ridiculous, but it's also like, I just love how she's trying to attack from so many points and so many fronts.
It's so frazzled that it seems fake. Like I said.
It does. Well, it's like one of those things, it's not even to me, I couldn't even read the whole article. Like, I read the first 3, and she makes 11 points that she brings up. I think I could get to 4 or 5, and I literally had to put it down and then be like, because it didn't even make sense. And if you're a person that loves to learn, which I consider myself one of those people, like, I felt myself steadily losing brain cells as I was reading this and getting more angry. And so I was just like, this is garbage. I'm sorry. That's all I can say about it. It's not, it wasn't even worth reading. And that's why when I chose not to share it on Facebook, I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. There's no need for it. So it just goes to show, though, that there are individuals out there, and this has gotten a lot of traction, which is so unfortunate.
I just want to know how it got traction. Like, well, everybody's, like, putting it on for negative. Like, who was the first person to be like, yo, look at this? Like,
see, every time I went and looked on Facebook, you can click on it to see, it was trending. It's one of those things. And so I went and looked on it, and every single person, you could tell they were ag individuals that had just gone in and were like saying like, this is ridiculous, and I was applauding. I was like, yeah, power to the FFA, be FFA proud.
But I feel like even people like me who don't know anything about FFA are starting to look at PETA and be like, are you a joke?
Yeah. Well, it's just it is. It's like, you would think that this would knock down their accountability. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot from PETA now, so I'm guessing this was like their jump start to their engine again. Hopefully it fails. I don't think they got a good spark out of it. I mean, clearly the ag industry.
Have you gone to like PETA's website and see if they've said anything?
They haven't said anything. So I went and I looked on Twitter and everything like that. They didn't say anything. Now the PETA 2 organization is a little bit, I want to say, kind of more on the radical end. Like, they're the ones that are like, they will attack people. PETA is more the lifestyle and more concerned about like not killing animals for fur and things like that, and promoting a vegetarian lifestyle as well, but not to the extent of like attacking organizations and individuals on like baseless facts. Mm-hmm. And so, but no, nothing's been said yet, according to my knowledge. And I mean, I can take a look right now, but I haven't seen anything. But again, it comes back to being accountable and holding your individuals in your organization. I mean, if I was a boss and I had a member of my staff that were just attacking other individuals of any type of lifestyle.
Marketing.
Exactly. I would have a serious conversation with that individual and be like, this is not okay. Like, why are you doing this? And if, you know, the morals that we have and, you know, ethical treatment is what PETA stands for. What this individual did was not ethical on any standard. And I know it's for animals, but you would think they would be ethical to individuals and humans as well. So I just think that it's one of those things that they're not holding themselves accountable.
I don't even know what they want to accomplish. Because, I mean, if you look at any group who tries to use this tactic of, like, let's say the most absurd thing so it gets shared and blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, I might get a lot of shares and likes, but you forget about it in, like, 5 minutes. Like,
well, yeah, and it's just, it's crazy. The support that they can still get with these blatant attacks and just the unfounded information that they're using. I mean, how many videos can we see on the television that uses the old, like, 2001, 1998 videos of animals that probably are not being treated well? Yeah, when I look at those videos, I'm ashamed of that individual that would claim to make themselves an ag producer and ag consumer themselves. That's why we've made changes. We've made steps to go forward, but you're not even acknowledging that.
And, like, you're a small small family farmer.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have a bunch of cattle or anything.
No.
Like
well, and even the larger corporations like that, they have standards in place. I mean, they can get railroaded by the government or whoever they're getting funding from. Like, they can't do that stuff either. It's not like these industries are just doing whatever they want. I mean, we're not in the wild, wild west here. We have rules and regulations in place to prevent this, but even down to the smallest agricultural farmer, everyone's affected when individuals that are these outliers that are kind of radical in a sense spout all this stuff, get traction behind it, and then make those little annoying steps in government or regulations and try to make all these changes. And it's like, man, I would love for this. Well, I don't know if I actually would like to meet this person. Probably not. But if they could, I would like to see them just come to a farm, a family-owned farm, and a larger corporation, and just be there. Like, I don't even care if it's a surprise visit. If you want to go undercover to see it, I have nothing to hide. Come look.
Yeah.
But, like, this is crazy. And I consider you a little bit crazy. And I don't really consider, like, I don't like you. I'm sorry, I don't even know you, but I don't like you. So.
That's fair enough. And we're back with Jordyn Atwater and Ag Attack. We hope you've enjoyed this hour of listening to Jordyn talk about PETA. But, you know, our last little conversation reminded me of another topic she's really passionate about. Maybe a preview for next week. But, Jordyn,
yeah.
Tell me why you hate Chipotle.
Okay, so I do not support Chipotle in any sense. I will not go into the store.
And it's not just because of E. coli.
No, yeah, it's not because right now you maybe will get sick if you go in there. I know they're making changes, but Chipotle is one of those industries, parts of the industry that use false advertising to make profits. So they promote this GMO-free lifestyle. But the thing is, they were never GMO-free to begin with. They still had, soda pops have, corn syrup in it, which comes from a GMO-based corn. Everything is a GMO, a genetically modified organism. If we get down, people think, like, genetically modified organism, it's someone's working in a lab, splicing genes.
So bad. Oh, my gosh.
And they're shoving it in a test tube, and out comes a seed. A lot of GMOs are technically crossbreeding between, cross-pollination, things like that. I'm not going to say, like, we haven't figured out ways to do drought-resistant crops. But also, fun fact, the United States helps feed the world. And if we didn't have drought-resistant crops, we would not be able to do that. I mean, look at, Nebraska. Half the state is in a dry spell for the past 3 years. And we still have to get good yields. We still have to have a lifestyle. So GMOs are a good thing. But Chipotle, notice that a lot of people get scared by the word GMO because people think it's going to give them cancer or it's going to cause health risks, which is unproven. There are no facts on that done yet because we haven't let enough time pass to do those studies. I'm not saying that those studies don't need to be conducted, but jumping on this bandwagon right now of, like, Chipotle saying, well, I know individuals think GMOs are bad, so we're going to say we're GMO-free, but we're still going to have our pops, and we're still going to have some, like, sugar products. We're still going to have some chips that have GMO-based corn in them, but we're still going to say we're GMO-free. And then, when they're getting sued, they make the statement, well, we never said that we're completely GMO-free. We just said we supported the lifestyle. I don't remember that being on your sign, that you just supported the lifestyle. Yeah. All I saw is, whoa, look at us, we're GMO-free. I'm sorry, guys. If you go to if you like Chipotle for the food, okay, that's whatever. But don't just do it because they're saying, like, these facts. They're just using it as a ploy to get under your skin to be like, yes, they are GMO-free. They're, like, supporting this lifestyle. They're speaking out of, like, both cheeks on this one. Like,
they don't know
what they're talking about. And if they want to make the steps to say they're GMO free, okay, go for it. And if they do their research and decide that's what they want to do as their business model, that's fine. But the fact that they're using it as just this technique and tactic, and then they can go back and still say, well, we don't really are GMO free, but we support it. Like, clearly that is an advertising scheme.
They're just trying to be like, oh, we're so healthy, we're healthier than our alternative. But I'm biased, I worked for Qdoba for 4 years. And we learned at the time that, Chipotle was owned by McDonald's for a while.
Yeah.
And, like, their burritos were the same amount of calories as a Big Mac. And I don't think they've done much to change that,
no.
One. And two, they, like, don't make any of their ingredients fresh. None of it is actually made at that store. And so in Qdoba, it's made 100% fresh. So we're all over here, like, laughing, like, oh, yeah, Chipotle's the healthier one. Okay.
Exactly. Well, it's just that fact that it's, like, you can lie and, like, get away with it. Like, I think it's so hypocritical that you're giving people the norovirus and E. coli, and you're promoting the healthiest lifestyle of GMO-free. Well, Clearly, that's not working for you.
Don't they get some of their meat from Australia?
Oh.
They don't support GMOs, so, like,
Yeah,
you can't,
that's
like,
another
freeze
thing.
it, so.
Yeah, so they believe in, this healthy, fresh food. They decided about 5 years ago that they were no longer going to buy beef from the States, so they outsourced most of their beef from Australia, but they still promoted fresh food. You cannot transport beef from Australia to the United States, I believe, without having it, like, frozen. I mean, I need to look into, this is where I'm going to fact check myself. I need to look into the transportation manifest of how you could get that going. But still,
Yeah,
that's not fresh to me.
Put, like, your meat that you just got from the store in your car in the middle of summer for, like, a day, for a 8-hour drive
exactly.
to Nebraska.
The freshest meat that you can get is if you go to a local farmer and you go to a local butcher house and you get the meat right there and then you serve it that day. So the fact that they can say this is, it's just marketing schemes. It's smoke and mirrors with this. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, Chipotle doesn't support American agriculture. I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to go give my hard-earned money to an organization that doesn't support my lifestyle and my family's lifestyle. I just don't believe in it. And, a lot of my friends like Chipotle out there, and I can respect that. A lot of them love the food that's there. That's good. I mean, with everything that's going on, I do hope that they can change. I don't want people to get sick from food. Like, I'm not hoping that Chipotle goes down and burning flames, but
everybody E. coli.
Because they gave, but I want their products to be good. As an agricultural person, I want them to have good products on that table because people are eating them. That's a health risk. And so it's not that I would tell my friends, oh, you can't go there. I personally don't support it for my reasons. But I don't want you to jump on the bandwagon of them saying they're GMO free and they're fresh and being like, that's why you should go. Because it's not correct. It's false. It's false advertising. Yeah. So.
I mean, I personally don't like Chipotle because we went there for a Phi Beta Lambda thing once. And they told us, Phi Beta Lambda is a business organization.
Yeah.
But apparently the manager thought we were Greek because we had Greek letters because it's Phi Beta Lambda.
Yeah.
And so since they thought we were a Greek organization, they're like, oh, actually, we can't do your fundraiser anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
The day of. Okay. Whatever.
I mean, it's true. It's just one of those things that it always seems like with some of these organizations, and I mean, I know it seems like I'm attacking those organizations today, but I wait for the other shoe to drop because it's just lies. It's smoke and mirrors, like I said earlier, but we're kind of running out of time here. So that's what you can look forward to next time. We're going to get into the deeper issue about Chipotle and Subway. For all you Subway lovers out there, they're changing some of their stances for not the best reasons. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week, but I hope you guys all enjoyed our conversation today. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact.
You can tweet at Katie and E. You can tweet at Doneline. You can listen to this podcast again on doneline.com. And, of course, always stay tuned to Katie and E for some of the best music on the edge of indie.